Right, thank you, Jackie. Well, thank you everybody for attending this virtual executive member decision day. My name's Stephen Reed and I'm responsible for performance, human resources and partnerships. And we're being webcast via the County Council website on YouTube. I haven't received any requests for deputations, but Jackie, I think you would like to speak to item 1?
Yes, please, if I may.
Yes, of course. Shall we move on then to item 1, which is the Supporting Families programme and the grant funding. And Alison Carver, I think you're going to present on this?
Yes, I will. So I brought the paper today, which provides a background really to £200,000 worth of grant funding that's been available through the Supporting Families programme in Hampshire. The grants round was opened through the HCC grants portal in March, which invited voluntary and community and not-for-profit organisations to apply for the funding of up to £20,000 per project. It was open to organisations offering support in any of the 6 Supporting Families programme areas, so education, crime, antisocial behaviour, out of work benefits, risk of financial exclusion, children who need help, domestic abuse and health. But for this particular grants round, we were particularly interested in those organisations looking at a provision to support areas known to be impacted upon by the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. So we were particularly interested this time around in wellbeing, debt and budgeting, domestic abuse, reducing parental conflict and adolescent to parent violence and attendance related projects. We're always keen to support the voluntary and community organisations who provide support at an early help level, and we were looking at either established organisations and projects or new and innovative services. In total, we received 34 applications, and that equated to £444,725. The bids were all reviewed by the local family support manager, who also has responsibility for the early help hubs and the Supporting Families programme in each of the children's services districts. And this was to ensure that the bid aligned with local needs. Each of the grants were considered by a panel, which was made up of representatives from the Supporting Families programme, the Family Support Service, Department for Work and Pensions, representatives who work locally, and the local children's partnerships. And they were reviewed against the criteria provided to applicants in advance of submitting their bid. The panel also wanted to ensure that funding was spread across the county and wherever possible across the priority areas that we'd highlighted within the application process. We also took steps to ensure that no organisations were being double funded for the same projects that they already were commissioned for. In total, 24 applications were recommended for either full or partial funding through the grants round. And of these 24, 18 exceed the £5,000 limit and therefore require executive member approval today to go ahead. The recommended grants are all detailed within the paper, and they include a whole range of different initiatives. For example, we have the likes of Home Start and the Vine Centre, who are looking at providing a whole family support model, which is very much advocated by the Supporting Families programme and working in partnership with the early help model in each district that they work within. No Limits and Heart Voluntary Action, who have requested grants to supplement existing youth counselling services, having recognised the benefits that a more holistic family approach can make by offering support to parents and families and not just the young person that they're currently supporting. We have the InSync project and Seeds project, which are looking at empowering families and supporting them to understand emotions and reactions to situations within the household with the hope of ensuring that families become more resilient and able to cope long term. In addition, there were some projects that were offering very specific areas of support. So, for example, Baby Necessities, which is looking to support new mums, Fleet Phoenix for their RADA project for children who have or continue to witness domestic abuse in the home, and Youth Options offering an innovative project looking at nature and mental health project to support under 8s who have suffered as a result of the pandemic. Within the grants requirements, all organisations will be required to provide an update on their services within the first 4 months of the project, and a report detailing the project outcomes and spend at the end of the grant period, so at the end of March 2022. Paragraph 15 has been included to provide some additional information relating to oversight during the project period. So the local Early Help Partnership will have oversight on a regular basis through the work that the organisations will be doing within the Early Help Partnership. And the grant agreement also has a requirement on the organisation to allow representatives of the council to visit the project during the funding period to enable some further oversight and evidence the use of the funding. As I said, the report contains a more detailed breakdown of each of the projects and the organisations that we have put forward within this grants process. If the recommendations are approved, then the next steps will obviously be to notify each of the organisations and set up the grant agreement to ensure they wish to proceed. And then the Early Help Board, local family support service managers and the local children's partnership chairs will all be informed to ensure that where appropriate they can link into the projects within their areas and that they're aware of the support that's being made available to them through this funding. I hope that provides a very brief overview of the report.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very pleased that paragraph 15 is in there talking about getting feedback on how the money is being spent and allowing a council representative access to discuss and monitor and evaluate the project. I wouldn't mind seeing some of these myself, first of all to learn what work is being done, which I'm sure is extremely valuable, but also to get a feel for the efficacy of the grant that we have given. So we can talk about that later on. Before I bring Jackie in, Steve, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, nothing for me. I think I do recommend going and seeing some of the projects. I think that's a really good idea.
Brilliant. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you. I think actually that's pretty much where I was in my conversation. I'm very conscious that this is funding for a new scheme. That's the whole conversation of supporting families is definitely HCC led. And in the work that was done and the evaluations that were done were south and north. So there were 2 sets of people doing the 2 different evaluations as far as I could see. So I'm fully support the principle of giving these groups the money. That's absolutely not a question at all. It's about the variety of services that each one are offering and trying to, I'm somewhat reassured by Alison saying that that have looked at the needs and balanced the needs against the individual areas. But the rate of the different sorts of funding that's being given for different projects is so vast that, bearing in mind what the budget decisions are going to be made for the county in the future and the support that we're expecting to give or not to give to voluntary organisations, I am concerned that we do have a really full audit trail of what happens to this, so that, and perhaps it should be go through scrutiny as well, so that not only the executive member sees it, but also other people have the opportunity to look at the efficacy of the money, which projects work best, and so that we somehow get a better idea as a council rather than as just as a series of individuals or the north and south branches about what is good practice and what is the most effective practice. A lot of these organisations will be running principles of the work that you're doing automatically as part of their work anyway. So I don't doubt that they all have the right ethos to deliver what you're expecting to deliver. But there are some quite dramatic ones. So, for instance, the baby necessities. I happen to know that Winchester has a similar thing that's set up by a church already. You know, are we looking at something where this seems to be the thing that we should have right the way across the county, or is it something that can be set up by a private organisation or a charitable organisation? I just think that there's such a variety of offer here that it actually would give us at the end of the day a lot of information about what works and what doesn't work for us as a council giving grants, particularly when grant money will be so tight in the future. My other comment is really, and I think it was dealt with to some extent in the briefings that we had, is that people like Home Start have different methods of delivering in different places, as do other organisations in this group, in this list, and I just wanted to make sure that we have some sort of criteria. But it appears that you're having the 4-month check and the end of year check to make sure that they're delivering what you're hoping to see. But my main issue is the learning that we learn from this, because post-pandemic, the world is different, the way we operate is different. And I just want to make sure the learning is there for the whole council and not just for the team that's actually administering the grants.
That's a good point. I think extracting good practice where we can find it is always a good thing to do. And in this area, good practice will actually save the council money by preventing more serious problems from developing later on, which might require the intervention of ourselves in our caring responsibilities and police and the NHS and so on. So I am anxious, as you are, Jackie, to make sure that we identify the good practice and promulgate it.
Thank you. And my other conscious statement from this is that we seem to have spent all the money. So if there's anything that pops up during the year, is there any potential for anything from that if there is a need for any more money, or is that something that the executive member can deal with appropriately, or the team can deal with?
Okay.
It looks like we spent every penny.
Yes, Steve or Alison?
Well, if we get any more money, then we'd obviously put it through the exec member decision if it was for grants above 5,000. The objective is, I mean, this is a ring fence grant, so the objective is to get it all out and making a difference to children. And there's no benefit for us in holding anything back.
Okay.
Yeah, I did think of that one, Jackie, and thought, well, if we did hold some back in case a good cause came along, we'd be open for criticism about not making all the money available for good causes.
Yeah, it was a constructive comment, not a.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, I hope we'll get the opportunity to discuss some of the good practice that we identify, because I think it would be a good idea to spread it. Jackie, I'm grateful for you saying that you support the decisions that are recommended here. And officers, do you have anything to add? Okay, in that case, I have got the recommendations, which are summarised in paragraph 4, basically 3 and 4. So unless anybody has anything else to say, I will be happy to approve those and look forward to seeing the beneficial effects and viewing them. Okay, so that decision is made. Thank you. And the second item then is appointments to outside bodies, and Jackie, you were going to present that.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. This is just a very short report seeking some appointments to the 4 outside body organisations, and the proposed appointments for your consideration and approval are for Good Neighbours Network. The proposed appointments are Councillor Stephen Broomfield and Councillor Sarah Pankhurst. For Solency Rescue Organisation, the proposed appointment is Councillor Graham Burgess. Tadley and District Citizens Advice Bureau, proposed appointment is Councillor Derek Meller. And South East Reserve Forces and Cadets Association, the proposed appointment is Councillor Andrew Joy.
Yeah, and have they all been contacted and they're happy to serve?
They've all been contacted and happy to be appointed if you're minded to make those appointments.
Yes, indeed. I have a very, very slight personal interest on the Citizens Advice one because my wife is a trustee of the Basingstoke Citizens Advice Bureau, but I don't think there's anything too serious in appointing Councillor Derek Mellor as a
No.
representative there. But
That's
I just
absolutely
mentioned it for
fine.
completeness. So Good Neighbours Network, Solent Sea Rescue, Tadleian District, Citizens Advice Bureau and South East Reserve Forces and Cadets Association. I will approve those appointments. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you everyone for attending the decision day. And I'll declare that one closed then.
Thank you. Please can the broadcast be